ahead.
Okay, what words were you unfamiliar with?
I was unfamiliar with the word, I guess, indivisible. Most of the words I was familiar with. And then I said I looked up the word, and it means unable to divide or separate. And then I thought that was I thought learning the definitions was actually very helpful with the pledge because it made me realize the impact of why we say it every day and why it's important and stuff. And it's made it also easier to understand.
Yeah, I saw that it says once the reason that there's indivisible in the pledge is because it means that our country is not able to be divided. Like we are united as a nation. Does it make sense for us to say the pledge once a week or should we say it more?
I think that's really a difference of opinion. I think it's important that most people say it probably a minimum of once a week. I mean, people could say it more. I mean, it would be good if people said the pledge more often, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if you don't.
Yeah, I think it's good that when you're in elementary school, they do it every single day because then it gets into your head
It
and
teaches you.
it teaches you and then you
for your
memorize
future.
it. But once we're older, I think it's okay that we do it once a week as long as we stick to doing it once a week.
Yeah, and not forgetting about it or anything. Why do you think the writer of the pledge chose so many adjectives to put in the pledge?
I think it would be because he wants to really make sure that we understand what our country is about and why it's about that. I think that's kind of the reason.
And the writer chose a lot of really good words, I guess, and they're not necessarily words that most people would understand. It's words that really have a really good meaning that actually really describe what our country is about.
Yeah, they really there are so many and they're all different too. They're not just repeating the same thing.
Yeah, and I think it makes also once you learn them, it makes the understanding of the pledge easier, and it just makes the pledge sound very, I guess, I don't really know, but I think it was just important in there so people understand why we how important it is to say the pledge.
Okay. Why does it say I pledge allegiance to the flag instead of we pledge allegiance to the flag?
I don't. I have to think about that one. I think it's saying because when you say the pledge, it's kind of you are making a promise, kind of to. I guess it just kind of seems that way. And I think when you say I pledge allegiance, it's each individual is personally saying it to the person. I guess it's doing
Right.
it.
It kind of has a bigger meaning because people say it they all say it at one time with saying I. So it's
You yourself.
yeah, it's you yourself while everyone else is also saying I. So it's everyone is individually promising that they pledge allegiance to the flag.
Yeah. In the pledge, there's a line that says, "One nation under God." What do you think that means? What do you think this means?
I actually did a research on this, and I learned that this means that the Congress wanted it to say that everyone in our nation believes in God, and this was kind of a long time ago, but that's what it was about is they wanted to say that everyone believes in God, but I think that's not exactly true.
I think what they're also saying is God is watching over our country, and our nation is obviously, but I guess they're kind of saying that God is watching over our country.
Yeah, he's kind of protecting it.
Yeah.
Why does it end with liberty and justice for all instead of starting the pledge with it?
I think the liberty and justice part is really important part of the pledge, so I think they kind of did the save the best for last, and it kind of wraps up the whole thing, and they're really kind of important to describe our country.
Yeah, I think it kind of just ends it just with liberty and justice for all instead of saying but I feel it could also go either way because if you start with with liberty and justice for all, I pledge allegiance. It sounds a little bit weird, but I think it kind of is the same meaning.
Yeah. Why is it important for schools to say the pledge?
I think so that they really just show that they're like that they know it, they memorize it, and then they can understand what it means.
I think they the reason why they say the pledge in school is because they really want to teach kids like just what the pledge means and like why we say it, and then just teach kids about I don't know just like why it's important.
And like history too. It's kind of a little bit
Yeah.
about like the history and
Yeah, it's
how
about the history. Yeah.
What is the difference in between saying the Pledge of Allegiance and singing the national anthem?
I think saying the Pledge of Allegiance is like when you say it, when it, like we were talking about, it's like you say like I pledge allegiance, so you're kind of, it sounds like you're kind of making a promise, and then the national anthem is kind of like the song of honor, I guess, and it's kind of, I mean, they have different words, but they're both similar, and they're both talking about how, like, they're just talking about words that describe our country. The national anthem is kind of more about like the history of our flag, and then the Pledge of Allegiance is more like describing the flag and like our country together.
Yeah, I think they were both made for different things. Like they were both made at different times and made for different things. So I think that's like the reason. Like the Pledge of Allegiance, like you said, is just like a promise, but the national anthem is kind of like it's kind of like a proud song, like a kind of wrapping up.
Yeah. Why do you think the Stars and Stripes are not mentioned in the pledge?
I think that maybe they thought it was already long enough, or maybe it was like the Stars and Stripes are like when they said I pledge allegiance to the flag. Maybe that's why, and maybe the Stars and Stripes are kind of more about the country, while this is more about like a promise to.
Yeah, I also think they didn't mention it because it's more, the Stars and Stripes is more like a symbolic thing, and they're all kind of like, they want to separate it into different parts, like the Stars and Stripes are like the symbols, the national anthem is like the song of honor, and then the Pledge of Allegiance is like taking the pledge and making a promise. What information did you learn about that could contribute to the discussion?
I learned about how we, like how the pledge came to be. So this is what I said. The Pledge of Allegiance was made 116 years after the Revolutionary War and the Declaration of Independence. And when it was first made, it didn't say one nation under God. It just said, I pledge allegiance to my flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It was made by a Christian socialist, and it didn't even say God or have the word Christian in it. Then 31 years later, it was changed to I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It still didn't say God or the word Christian. As you noticed in the last one, it took rid of I pledge allegiance to my flag, it changed to that. And then in 1954, under God was added in a response to an act of communism.
Wow, I did not know that. Mine was, I decided to write mine about the person who wrote the pledge and came up with it. And that said, I decided to research the author of the pledge. His name was Francis Bellamy. He wrote the pledge in August of 1892. Francis was a socialist minister. After the pledge was published, Francis soon hoped the pledge would be all over the place.
Okay. What did your video say, and what is the impact of viewing the message versus simply reading about the topic?
Well, so in the video that I chose to do, it was about a teacher talking about why it's important to say the pledge, and it was about kids kind of talking about like what the pledge really is and like about our country. So it kind of, I guess, made it like, I don't know how to understand it. It made it seem, it just kind of explained why the pledge is important. So it made like the people who are watching the video, and it kind of taught the kids who were in the video of why we say it versus just like saying it, not knowing what it truly means. So it kind of taught the true meaning. So then the kids in the video understood it better, and then like people who watch it understand it better too.
Awesome. I am kind of fascinated of how the pledge came to be, so that's also what my video was about. I think that viewing the message gives you a visual picture and helps to explain better. When you read about the topic, you can get lost and not really know what they're talking about, versus in this video, it shows you how the pledge changed over time while entertaining you with cartoon people. I think that this video shows why we should keep saying the pledge and why it is important.